The Cow and the Mosquito. Once upon a time, in a wide green meadow lush with sweet clover and daisies, there lived an extremely large cow. She was a magnificent creature, with a coat of creamy white and patches the colour of rich earth. She was immensely proud of her size, seeing her great bulk not as cumbersome, but as a symbol of her importance. As she grazed under the warm sun, she would admire her own broad shadow, believing it was proof of her superiority. One beautiful afternoon, as a tiny mosquito rested on a nearby blade of grass, he heard the cow let out a deep, contented sigh. "It would be very difficult indeed," she declared to a passing butterfly, her voice rumbling with self-satisfaction, "to find another animal in all the world bigger or more beautiful than myself." The mosquito, whose name was Zizi, flexed his delicate wings and zipped through the air, landing as softly as a speck of dust upon the cow's broad back. "Don't pressure yourself so much, dear cow," he said in his tiny, buzzing voice. "The world is full of wonders. There is always somebody bigger and more beautiful than you." The cow let out a huff of indignant laughter that shook her entire frame. She turned her massive head, her large, placid eyes, trying to locate the source of the minuscule voice. "You?" she exclaimed when she finally spotted him. "You are an insignificant animal, a mere speck. How dare you lecture me?" The mosquito didn't say anything more. Words, he knew, would not teach this lesson. He calmly took out his stinger, a needle-fine point of purpose, and began to sting the cow. At first, it was just a tiny prick, an annoyance. The cow twitched her skin, but the mosquito stung her again, and then again. A sharp pain began to blossom on her hide. Annoyance turned to anger. The cow started to move her long, heavy tail, swatting it with all her strength at the tiny tormentor. But the mosquito was too quick, dancing on the air currents just out of reach, only to land and sting her again in a different spot. The cow grew frantic. She whipped her tail back and forth with such force that the thick, coarse hairs slapped hard against her own body. Whack! The sound echoed in the quiet meadow. She felt the sting of her own tail on her sensitive skin. After swatting at the mosquito very hard, many times, the cow was very sore. She had tried so hard to stop the mosquito from stinging her that she had hurt herself badly. Angry red welts and bruises began to appear on her body, some from the mosquito's stings, but most from the furious lashing of her own tail. Exhausted and in pain, she finally stopped, her sides heaving. The mosquito landed gently on her horn, well out of reach of her tail. "Can you believe now that there is somebody stronger than you?" asked the mosquito, his voice calm and clear. "Or do you prefer that I continue to sting you?" "Please, no, no. I think that is enough today," exclaimed the cow, her proud voice now reduced to a weary plea. The pain had humbled her. "I hope that you have learned that you should never call another animal unimportant again," repeated the mosquito. He was not gloating, he was simply stating a fact. The cow, her body aching and her pride shattered, understood. She saw that the mosquito's strength was not in size, but in his persistence and his ability to make even the largest of creatures helpless. From that day on, the cow let the mosquito stay on her back whenever he wished, carrying him as a constant reminder of the lesson she had learned.